Howdy y'all, I'm Ice Gold, and today I'm going to be following up on the video that I made a couple days ago where I said I would talk about how things like gambits and conditionals work. So let's get started. So gambits came into the game back in 2018 with the Scion spells. These were part of Imperia Part 2. And basically, what they have here is, as you can see, this is 1400 storm damage base, but it will double if the target has no charms. So, in theory, if I were to use this on, a mob that had no blades, this would do 2800 base damage. But in the years since, and especially recently, there have been a lot more gambits that have been added. So the first one I wanted to talk about are extra damage gambits like Storm Shark. So as you can see here, and I'll go to the Spellment tab to get a better look at it, but as you can see, Storm Shark does 375 base at the tier that I've got it upgraded to, but it'll do an extra 165 damage, base damage, per heal over time I have on myself with a maximum of 2. So, in its current state, I can do 330 extra damage on top of the 375 that I'm already doing. This equates to 705, which is very strong, especially since the pip cost doesn't change at all. It just stays at 3. So, it is very much worth using this if you have 2 heal overtimes on yourself, because it will nearly double the base damage. And then this even goes up at the max tier. The max tier, I believe, will do up to 720 if you have 2 heal overtimes on you. So 720 damage for 3 pips, that's pretty strong. So this is typically used in a PvP setting where you can use spells like Berry Surprise and get multiple heal overtimes on you, and then you can just start spamming Storm Sharks and they'll just do mass damage, and it can really hurt your opponent quite a bit. The second gambit that I have on my list today is hanging effect gambits. And sometimes they'll say clear, sometimes they'll say gambit, but they mean the same thing. So, if I were to use lightning bats right now, I would do, the base 120 to 140, and then if I have an overtime on myself, a damage overtime on myself rather, it will clear it, and it will then put 2 minus 15% weaknesses on the target. So, this is good for, just countering unprotected overtimes. Kraken is good for clearing protected overtime, since it'll clear up to 2. And yeah, it's just this is how you can get good hanging effects either on you or your opponent, depending on what the card does. So in this case, if your opponent were to put an unprotected overtime on you, you could use the spell and not only get rid of the overtime, but weaken your opponent twice. And this gives you 2 turns of tempo, compared to the 1 that your opponent would have used by sending an overtime. So I briefly touched on damage gambits, with Scion and all that, but you can also do them with spells like Terminal Honey in advanced content, and the base damage on the spell is insane, 1255 storm damage, but these gambits usually are not easy to set up. A curse gambit, if your opponent uses 2 charms, then 1 Banshee TC is all you need to set this up. But for most of them, like charm gambits and heal overtime gambits, that could take 2 or more turns. But once you set them up, you can threaten 2,510 base damage on this. And I don't know if any of you have seen PvP clips and all that, but a gambit, even without any buffs, that does mass, and it's highly recommended to set them up if you are doing advanced content. The last little bit that I wanted to cover in this video is this little 2 in parentheses. I touched on this when I made my explaining the Rochambeau spells video last week, but effectively what this 2 in the parentheses means is up to 2. And what this will do, Tree of Strife, if you have 2 charms on yourself, it will clear them and turn them into heal overtimes. But if you're only clearing 1 charm on yourself, you'll get 1 heal overtime. Pretty simple. So just something to keep in mind if you see this, or if you see a number in parentheses. So with Stormzilla, on the path that I didn't take, you can gambit up to 3 curses on your opponent for heal overtimes on yourself that are valued at 330 before any heal boost. And then it will do its base damage. So, this could be useful if you're trying to do a heal and hit. Although, I mean, there's better ways to do that if you're running in advance. But, yep, just to cover that real fast. So, yeah, just the number in the parentheses means up to, rather than you have to have 3, which I know can be confusing, especially when you're thinking about, Eon of Atavis, which is just in the Nucleus Gallery, because with some of those polymorphs, they'll give you spells that, like, I think one of them, I think in the Penguin form, just this is like the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. I think it's called Tu es Miserable, and what it does is it'll clear curses on you. So, if you get 3-folded, it'll clear up to 2 of those, and then put up to 2, obviously corresponding to how many you cleared, on your target. Just something to keep in mind. And I'm expecting this to happen again in Wallaru. I know it's going to be mad confusing when they do it, but yeah, I would just be prepared for that. So if you see that, that's what that means. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope I was able to help today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I usually see them pretty fast, so I'll get back to you quick. So, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, y'all.